closet?
We're gonna start with Paul talking to us about an awesome tool, man. We've got, oh my goodness.
It
We
really
gotta
is
use
so
this.
awesome.
We gotta
It's
use
way
it.
cool.
Okay, I'm unfreezing you. This tool's called Remind 101. Awesomeness.
Paul,
Yes,
Paul
I
who?
call Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Oh.
The master is at work. Listen.
All
right.
Okay?
That's very cool.
So, when I worked at Ford Motor Company for 12 years, 10 years, I learned one thing there. How to steal with integrity. Okay? So, we stole from Datsun, Mazda and all these things, so we learned how to make best practices work. I heard Miss Appleby using this down in high school, so of course I go there and say, hey, Miss Appleby, what's going on? She says, this Remind 101, it's like a group text. It's a one-way street though. You drive it. You just send a text out, they cannot come back to you at all. You don't use your phone number, the computer generates a phone number for you. And you never see their students or the parents' phone numbers. So it's very, very secure. And they can't call you at all hours or anything like that. It's free. And all I did is I took every email, primary email, off our Blackbaud, just cut and pasted into Word, and then I just highlighted it by class. So I've got, in my first period class, I sent it all to their parents. And the parents, it just basically tells them how to subscribe. And you can send a text. Like I have a test, physical science test tomorrow. Utilize study guide, went over to class today, good luck. That went out yesterday at about 8:30 in the evening. One student said, and I made the students sign up too. I mean, they said, oh, I can bring my phone out. I said, bring your phones out, this is what you're gonna do. They signed up, I said, your parents, you can see what I'm sending your parents. I'm not hiding anything. One student said he got the text. About 2 minutes later, his parents didn't go up to talk to him, called him, and he goes, I'm already studying. And I go, I love it. I love it. Got him. So I had a text, went out at 3 o'clock today to my honors kids because they have a test tomorrow. I wrote it this morning and I could schedule when I want to send it. So at 3 o'clock when school ended, boom, all these texts went out to both their parents and them who signed up for it.
Did most of them sign up for it?
That's a good number. I've got 28. Now this includes parents as well as students that
Did you
signed
make
up
it
for it.
optional?
It's definitely optional. It's not. I'm not requiring it, but it's just going to help them. And I'm telling the students, I said, have your parents sign up because it'll help them. The minute I send it out, the invite out, one parent got back to me via email immediately. I love this. And basically, all I'm doing is to say, hey, we got a test, we got a project due, the field trip coming up. This is what you need to know. It's just information. The cool thing is it's just you control it. They can't come back to you at all. If they want to talk to you, they have to email you. Okay, so it just gives you more information. They're not looking at the web page. They don't listen in class. They're not writing down what's going on. It's just another tool.
And they don't get your phone number.
They don't get your phone number or anything like that. How do you invite? I mean, this is my code to get in. I made this a PDF, and this is for my first period class. They type this number in, and they just put that in the message. Comes back to them. It says, oh, you're now part of the group. Send back your name. Because I said, if I don't recognize a name there, I'm deleting you. And some of the parents put, I'm the parent of. So, I mean, it's very, very specific. So I know who exactly is in each group. You can send multiple groups. I can send first, third, sixth period as one text. Because that's all my regular class. And I can keep honors out of it. They don't have to see that text. So it's kind of a cool tool. Best thing is free.
How did you separate them, like, according to class?
All right, what I did, when you go to set up a class, let's see, add new class. I just add a new class, and then make up a name. And if you leave this blank, it'll create its own code. So my suggestion
So
would
each
be,
class has a different code?
each class has a different code, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, they sure do, I apologize. So
All
you
right.
just set up a class. I would leave this blank because that's the code that they put in when they text you. And it just generates it itself.
And you can put in up to 10 classes, right?
I believe that's what it is, yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, I set mine up today and it's wicked easy.
Yeah, it's very simple. What takes the longest is getting emails. That's the hardest part.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, I cut and pasted out of BlockBot into a Word file, and I just broke them up by classes, just highlighted them, cut, pasted, and sent it. I blind carbon copied them so that everybody couldn't see everybody else's email.
Right.
All right, and I sent the main one to me, and then set up the blind copy, and within minutes, people were boom, 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 signing up. That was cool. Good.
If you haven't signed in, would you sign in? And that's Paul's differentiated instruction presentation for today.
Let's go run 6 miles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Take it. I'm sorry.
We have food and drinks. If you ever have, well, Jody, I brought Coke Zero, but you already have your own. Drink it over there anyway. Okay. Real quick before Martha starts, last time when we did differentiated instruction, I gave you those booklets, and I apologize for not sending a reminder email. But we just wanted to discuss a little bit, if anybody could volunteer, anything that you've done since our last meeting in September that involves differentiated instruction. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It can be something that is good for all the modalities, all the learning styles. It could be something where there was student choice involved, where they got to choose the way they wanted to do something, the process, the product, or the whatever. Your materials could be, they could have chosen materials, anything like that that you've done in the classroom. And I know everybody's doing DI, but I want us to discuss it just a minute and just acknowledge it. So, anybody?
I can share.
Okay.
This is what I'm doing in Spanish. And I didn't know I was doing it, but now I know I can put now a little label. What I do is I make up a story, and the story needs to be interesting. Some of them I use legends. So I have my kinesthetic children acting the story. They do not have to talk. I say it all in Spanish, but they act. Mm-hmm. So when I ask for volunteers, my kinesthetics go up and down and they bounce like that. So I want them to do something. So they act. Then I pick 2 to write the story, to illustrate the story. So I have my visual, and I have 2 in the back writing the story. So I say you write it onto here, and then so they have like a 4 squares comic story, nothing complicated. That's my visuals. Then I have my listening. I have a bell that they hold me accountable if I speak English. They just ring the bell and they like it. And they have another 2 listeners with counters, counting how many times I say I like. It depends on the structure. So I have my listeners there. Normally are the shy ones that just want to listen. So when I finish the story, I get the 4, like a comics paper on the board, and someone tells me the story. So I have movement, I have hearing, I have drawing, I have visuals, and it's kind of moving. And not all the time. I wish I can do it more often, but sometimes it can get whoa, it can get kind of crazy. But that's how I have seen it work, and it works beautifully because some are moving and some are seeing it. So well.
Awesome, yay. Anybody else?
Every few weeks, I give the kids a chance to review their memory verse, and I give them a choice of, you can write it 3 times, you can do a movement for every word, or you could put it to a song. Or you can say it in Pig Latin. And so I give them a choice of what they want to do. It shocks me how many kids would actually be willing to write it, but those are our writing word children, and so they have a choice in what they get to do.
Yeah.
I'll do one.
Okay.
And we're doing Romans Road to Salvation. And rather than testing them on the individual verses, which will be Friday, they have to show me how they witnessed to one person using the Roman Road to Salvation, all the 6 verses that we just covered.
Wow.
And put it to practical use. Rather than just sitting there writing it out, I want them to demonstrate how they're going to talk to one person to bring them to Jesus, or bring Jesus to them. That's really cool.
Wow, okay.
I had a student choice assignment, and I was amazed that some of them thought, oh, is this a choice to do it or not do it? I was like, no, that you have no choice. No, but they, as a summary activity of the whole chapter, we learned 4 different Indian cultures, and so they could choose which culture they wanted to present, and they could choose if they wanted to write it in a letter, like, Dear Sally, I went to so-and-so and I found this artifact about this, just pretend that they found something from one of those cultures. And of course, there were some requirements that they had to put in the letter, like they had to use 4 facts and 4 terms from the chapter, and it had to have color, and it had to have correct grammar and things like that. They could do a brochure as if they had gone to an archaeological dig, and they could do a graphic organizer of their choice, which means they can go anywhere with that really. And lastly, they could compare 2 of them on a Venn diagram. And so, they enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't that difficult because they had all this knowledge about it. Now they just had to prove that they knew something about it. And I counted it as a quiz grade, and so it was good. Choice.
My kids are really stuck right now on equations. They're having a hard time, and we've had to just kind of park to kind of work through it and see if they get it. So one of the things we've tried, we were in groups one day, we were individual one day, we were in the hallway one day. One thing they tried was, I don't know if you've ever seen algebra tiles before, but they were kind of like human algebra tiles. So we tried human algebra tiles, which basically means you put your body in the place of what you're doing to solve the equations. That worked for some. For some, it was like, what are they doing? Okay. The other part was with a partner, figure out how to explain it to each other, really talk it through with each other. That worked for a lot of them. It seems like they can communicate very well with each other. You can kind of stand there too, blue in the face, but when they communicate well with each other, that works really good. There are some that really, they just like working it on their own. They would rather come up here by themselves and explain the concept. So it's kind of neat, kind of doing different things to see what kind of appeal to them. They're getting it, but we're trying different things right now.
I think sometimes we do DI off the top of our heads.
Oh yeah.
We don't have it in our lesson plans because whatever we're doing in our lesson plans, it just comes to us and we just, I don't know, I think the Holy Spirit just uses that, just tells us some ideas that we need to try, so. Do you have your hand up, Lisa?
No, I did not. No.
Miss Stanley?
We're taking all her time.
Well, you're doing the Facebook thing. That's
I
actually.
know, but I'm thinking we're taking all your
Oh,
time.
this is good stuff.
She knew about this ahead of time.
Okay. Well, we're studying the cell, so I have the cell project, so they can work together, they can work separately, and some choose to that. And it's got different, some of it is a bunch of websites, sometimes they put a puzzle together, sometimes it's a quiz-like thing, it's different activities that they do. And then they have to make a fake book page on one of the scientists that developed the cell theory. And so they get to choose that. They have to come up with posts that they would say, friends that they would have, that kind of stuff, and use some thinking that way. And they have to use a drawing program to draw either an animal cell or a plant cell and label it. So, and then they have to look up information about all the different organelles and what they do.
Wow,
So,
great stuff.
Yeah, Christopher was in the Facebook, and I saw Facebook, and was like, wow. I was like immediately, bing, 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 bing. I said, you get out of that right now. We are doing that. And he's like, no, Miss Tammy told me. And it was Facebook, not Facebook.
right, Facebook.
Well, they have the same logo.
Yeah, it's like a face, but it's
Yeah.
made for you to do. A lot of people use it with literature on books and stuff, and
Yeah, so I said, okay, Miss Tammy
But-
says.
I got the idea. Scientists.
That's good. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Let's pray.
Will you pray, please?
Grace and Father, Lord, we thank you, Lord, for today. And Lord, I thank you for this time we get together and just encourage each other, challenge each other, but also to better hone our skills, Lord, as teachers, Lord, so we can reach this generation for you, Lord. God, just help this time to be a time of productive learning, and you'll be glorified in all we do, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. It's nice to come into a meeting. We had this before where we started a concept called back channeling, just to see who would pick up on it. And these guys picked up on it really fast. This is back channeling. Here's a website called todaysmeet.com, and we have a meeting going on in there. So here's what I want you to do. On your device, if you have one, go to this website. If you don't have one, I got one back here for you. Go to this website, and we have a meeting in progress. Now, the whole point of back channeling is for you to be able to, during the training, to, put questions out, put comments out, things that you want to keep, on the forefront. I think about this for our kids, while you're teaching a lesson, giving them an avenue to, put a question stream. Maybe you don't see it now, but it's something you could go back to and look at later. So as we're kind of going through the training today, if there's stuff that you see that, man, I'd like to know more about that, or man, that wasn't really clear, maybe we can go back and revisit that, or, definitely ask it during the session, but if there's something you want to keep a feeler out there on, then put it out here. This is todaysmeet.com. Our meeting is this website. It's an HTTP, but if you just type in todaysmeet.com, and it's /MS middle school staff October 2nd, and then that'll bring you into it. All you have to do is join it, put your name in it, and then you'll be able to post comments, and we'll see who submitted that. So our fearless leaders jumped right in there, man. That was cool. I love that. So here's some comments going on. Keep those coming as we kind of go through our session today. All right, let's start. You guys ever seen Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yeah.
I don't like Everybody Loves Raymond. This is, what's his name? Garrett something or other. Anyway, he's a teacher in this video, and I'm going to just kind of turn the lights down on him a bit. Look at what's going on. This is an interesting perspective. Let's see if this is yours. Look at what's going on in his classroom. Let's get some volume. Yes, there we go. Are your speakers, Miss Stanley?
With my speakers.
Where's your speakers, Miss Stanley? Miss Stanley keeps me so well equipped here, man. I tell you, Miss Stanley takes care of me.
Everybody, enough with the electronic devices. Turn them off. And no more of this Star Trek crap. Sure. This is an actual hearing aid? I thought you were ignoring me this whole time. What? Sorry. Okay, everybody else, enough with the gadgets. Put them away.
But we need them.
Abraham Lincoln went through his whole presidency without a beeper.
What's a beeper?
Never mind. Okay, I am now banning all electronic devices, including laptops.
But we use them in all of our other classes. It's how we take notes.
Okay, hey, here's a wacky idea. You want to take notes? Use a notebook.
But you said no laptops.
That's correct.
A notebook is a laptop.
Shut up. You see what's happening, people? The machines are getting smarter and we're getting dumber. Do you think any of these devices are going to tell you when Custer's last stand was?
1876.
That's right.
That's kind of cool. Do you feel like that sometimes?
Martha, what's that called? That video clip?
I did a search on Google. Look under, what's the name of the show? Till Death Do Us Part, or Till Death is the name of the show, and it's like smartphone episode.
Okay.
So Till Death. But did you notice, and I actually went out of it already, but I brought it up in a program called TubeChop, because there's some stuff on the front of that video that I would never show my class, okay? But TubeChop, you can take a video from YouTube, put the address into TubeChop, and then go to the point where you want to start the video and chop it off. Okay, so that front matter of the video is tubechop.com. So there's the front matter of that video got all chopped off. Okay, but the back part was really applicable to kind of where we're going with devices and stuff. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's as I promised, I'm going to have you out of here today by 4:15 at the latest. Okay, 4:15 at the latest. So what we're going to do, we're just going to talk briefly about how we can leverage technology, particularly from a teacher's perspective and from a student when we get into our BYOT, how we can leverage that with differentiated instruction. I don't know, now Jamie mentioned this in our last meeting on differentiated instruction. Carol Ann Tomlinson, if you have not had an opportunity to read her book, she has this book about how to differentiate instruction in mixed ability classroom. It's kind of old, but it's so applicable, and there are tons of things in there that as we really start to try to relate to our kids on their learning style, that's applicable here. Now this is a definition, actually I think this is the same definition that was in our last meeting. It's tailoring our instruction to meet their needs, but in 3 areas, and Jamie continues to talk about the content, the process, the products, but also, I mean, you could get down to like our environment, like what's going on in your classroom to differentiate. And again, we've talked about this. What is content? Well, it's what we have. It's our curriculum. What's the student supposed to learn? What's our standard there? Activities is our process for getting there, and then what actually comes out of that is the product. And then, of course, the learning environment is how we set up that classroom. I'm going to go past that. This is our 8th grade, and we sent these in. Paul Jagus pulled this together, and I think he sent it to Jamie and the administrative team. But look at our 8th graders. I mean, look at where they are in terms of how they learn. Can I stand up and lecture teach this group? Look at this. I can do it, but are they going to get anything I'm saying? That's pretty wild. This is very different. Do you remember last year? Mm-hmm. This is very different than what we had last year. Okay? But look at where these kids are falling out. They're very musically inclined. They're people. So if you want to sit them alone all the time, that's not going to work for them. Okay? So this was interesting when Paul pulled our numbers together. We surveyed them at the beginning of the year to try to figure out where they were. This was really interesting to me, particularly since it was so different than what we had last year. Look at this. Wow. That kind of blew me away. It makes you rethink how you're teaching them. When we think about differentiated instruction, I'm going to pull technology into it here, but we have this false perception of differentiated instruction. We tend to think, oh, it's chaotic. I've got to make sure, that I've got all these different types of things for 28 students in my classroom. And I think we have just a false perception of what differentiated instruction is. It's not. Do you remember how we used to do the, and I don't know if they still do it, in elementary where they have here are the tigers and here are the turtles, and how we used to put them in those groups like that, It's not another way of doing that, It's not kind of changing the clothes on something that we've done before. What it is we've got to make sure that we have these expectations for our kids that everybody can learn. Now, guys, I'll be honest with you, there's some days where I'm like, he can't learn, okay? He's not going to get it. But realistically, we've got to make sure we're putting the bar to a point and making them rise to it, okay? Because if we kind of put it down here, you kind of get what you expect, If you put it way down here, that's all you're going to get, okay? So we got to make sure we have high expectations for our kids. But also giving multiple, this is what Jamie was talking about a second ago, providing multiple ways to accomplish the goal. And that's tough sometimes because you're thinking, okay, if the end result is to do this, now I've got to think of 6 or 7 ways. Not necessarily. With our instruction, it's allowing them to choose. Now, we're getting ready for the planning for our Term 2 project in Honors Algebra 1. And I call it our multiple intelligence project because the end goal is the same. But how they get there, they can choose to do this, they can choose to do that. It's several, based on where they test out in their learning styles inventory is how they choose their project. And so it's going to be interesting because they are very used to everybody doing the same thing. And it's like, okay, now you go and do this and you go and do that. But having to give them options, we're not used to it, but they're not either. They're used to being told, go do this, and let me tell you exactly how I want you to do it, okay? So, where does, and I keep moving towards this board, but I don't need to. Let's see how technology can kind of play into this picture.
People have been integrating technology in the classroom forever. What I think is really exciting about what we're seeing now is that technology is being used to fundamentally transform what the classroom is, fundamentally transform what you can do with the classroom.
to define technology integration is really using whatever resources you have to the best of your abilities. Technology, it's a tool. It's what you do with that tool, what you can make, what you allow the students to make. That's really what technology is about. If you can do this lesson without technology, that's great. But if you can do it better with technology, then that's why you use it. That's why you use tools.
This is a list of different applications that you can use to like make music or do art. I've used it to record some of my personal narratives that I've written. My eyes were too big.
Students today are creating using digital tools. They're not creating using analog tools. For us to feel like we really are connecting with our kids and to make learning fun for our kids and meaningful, we need to meet them where they are. Kids can create podcasts, movies, songs to express their ideas, express their thoughts, but also to express their learning.
When you create, you take ownership of your learning. You understand it in a very different way than if you just memorized something from a textbook, or if you just read it over and over again, or watched it in someone else's film. If you were able to translate that information into your own film, your own content, your own something to share, that's just amazing.
And sometimes they learn things we didn't expect them to learn. Like I had my second graders reflect on the project they did, and some of them said, I learned how to get along with somebody, or I learned how to work with somebody. This internet thing that has become a big part of our lives, it's really enabled people around the world to connect in ways we never imagined.
People always say that the kids respond better when they're able to share their work. Well, of course, because they have a valid audience. It doesn't go into a pile on the teacher's desk and they get handed back to their folder. Kids today can create stuff and share it with the entire world. And they have that authentic audience. They have people that actually not only will read it, but also care about it.
We have to make like a movie project, so you kind of you have a topic, and with your topic you speak into a microphone, and then you draw pictures to go with what you're saying.
If they have the link to our website, which they might like end up getting by searching something on Google, and then this might pop up. And so yeah, there is a chance of kids around the world, you know, getting to see these videos.
The traditional academic model that we've inherited from the Prussians 200 years ago is we have a set amount of time to learn something, and then there's an exam. You get a B, I get a C, even though the exam identified that you have some basic weaknesses, I have even more weaknesses, we'll then move on to the next concept. So instead of doing that traditional everyone move together in lockstep model, with technology you have the potential to everyone learn at their own pace and master concepts before they move on. Have the teacher get real-time dashboards to see who's stuck on what. Something like that is a fundamental transformation of what a classroom is.
The role of the teacher has shifted. I'm truly seeing a world where the person who's in the role of teacher is really a facilitator. And if you can facilitate your students to create great work and work alongside with them to do that, that's amazing to me.
It's not about the mode of creation, it's not about the tool, it's about the learning, it's about the process, it's about the look on my students' faces, the fact that they can stay focused, motivated, engaged, and they're sharing ideas. Really makes learning joyful.
Channel that as well. What did you hear in that video? What are some things you heard in that video that stood out for you? Did you hear the role of the teacher is changing?
Yes, and I hear something that I'm like, oh, when you present and then you got a test, and then you have A, B, C, and then you move on.
Oh yeah, we're going. We gotta go to 4.2 now. Yeah. Yeah.
It hurts, yeah.
Absolutely. What else?
Facilitate the learner's work.
instead of teaching them.
Isn't that hard? That's hard for us to shift out of that model, you know, and I'm guilty of that because we have been such the teacher, you know, I have all the knowledge and you come to learn. But when you bring the technology into the classroom where now all that knowledge that you have is now at that student's disposal, you're facilitating their ability to you know, get it into perspective, you know, but they have a lot of things that, you know, we normally tell them. So how can I facilitate their use of that knowledge now? You know, I'm no longer this sage on the stage telling them everything. Miss George has an interesting way of putting it. She says, we're so used to the sit and get. They come in and sit, you get what I got, you leave, you know? So how do we change our mindset here come January 1st when all those kids bring their devices in, okay? Yet we still are having our lessons differentiated to the point where they're learning. Because did you hear what she said in there where it's not about the tool, or it's about the learning. Okay, learning still has to take place. Now learning's taking place right now, there's no tool in sight. But how do we take advantage of the technology that is gonna come into this building on January 1st, and now we become the facilitator to that learning? That's a mind shift. That blows my mind, okay? But it's exciting. Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. But
in my case, and I have a question because I can do so much. I thought about, okay, they can do a movie and they can film it in there and they can use the structures, but I thought, that increased the load of work for them. And I'm just an elective. So if I go there, like I don't have homework. So I was just wondering, I'm going to just make them a lot of load of work? And do we, you know, like sometimes it's a lot. I don't know. I'm just thinking, for example, the movie's a great thing, and you can do
Well,
a
they
movie.
create it in class, like what they're doing now in mine, they're doing that during class.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And here's been my experience, and you guys share too. I've seen where you can assign a child a movie, like you were just saying, you can assign a child to make a movie, video project or whatever. They are thrilled. I don't care if it takes 2 days. 2 days if they work, they're like excited. Just the fact that they're using iMovie or whatever video product they have to do that, that's exciting for them. It's not like work. They're doing work for you, but it's not like work. Now, you take that same child and say, go home and read page 10 through 40 and write me a 3-page synopsis. Oh my goodness. Okay, you know, it's like drudgery, you know, so it's like accomplishing the same thing, but here's technology to do it. Here's, you know, the pen, and it seems like it changes their whole mindset, you know. That's my experience, you know.
We also have to be careful that we don't call it differentiated instruction with technology and they're just having fun and they don't produce anything.
Oh, absolutely. There is a product,
We
yes.
have to make sure that there is a product and that through the process there's learning going on. And we have to look at something Jody and I studied at one time, time on task. You know, how much time is wasted? We need to cut the fat and make sure that every moment that they're working on this is not wasted.
That's right, exactly right. Yeah, and when we talked in the high school meeting a couple of weeks ago, that was the thing because a lot of the teachers say, oh, we allow laptops. They can bring their laptops any day. But what they're saying is they bring their laptops to take notes on what you're sitting there saying. That's not hidden. So guys, when that technology does come in, if the only thing that child is doing is opening up a notepad and typing in what you say, you miss the book, okay? So how can we take tools and integrate means integrate, okay? I mean, it really has to be a part, and it's not an also-ran, and also-ran for me means, okay, here's my lesson, now here's the technology to add on some, you know what I'm saying? It has to be a part of it, you know? And just because they have the iPad or the, you know, Android, whatever in class, does not mean we're doing anything with differentiated instruction. I mean, it just means that they have it, we haven't done anything with it, you know?
I think it's interesting. I mean, for us who are older, you look back in school and you know, you think of differentiated learning, what really took place because there wasn't that technology.
That's right.
But it just made me start going back and thinking when I was in middle school and high school, especially high school, you know, we didn't have all this stuff. the technology, those things. But to be able to find where the students are successful, just like you looked at that 8th grade class, you know, I remember having a teacher my junior or senior year, you know, on our projects. He allowed different ways to do it to where you were successful. And so if you were good at writing, you wrote. If you were good at teaching, speaking, you presented to the class for about 20, 25 minutes and you taught the class. And so that's the differentiated learning. So I think what we have to do is, now we've got these tools. There's some kids who know these things better than we do. And they're able to do things that we don't know. Well, we need to give them that opportunity to be successful in that area, because that's maybe how they're learning. Now there's other kids, no, they just rather write something, and that's fine. But I think that's when I'm going back thinking, okay, how did they do that? And they did, but they found other ways for us to be successful. And so I think that's what we've got to do in order to get them to be successful.
It scares us sometimes that they know more about these things than we do, because we think, I've got to know everything about every device that comes. That's not true. Okay, now what you do have to do is rethink some of the ways we've always done it. You know, it may not be dusting off that lesson plan that we've done for the last 10 years and just, you know, saying, okay, here it is again. I mean, it may be that we have to tweak it to be able to involve the device, but also provide some differentiation as well. No, you don't have to learn every single device, but we have to be smart enough to say, here's an assignment. Okay, now, I think I said this in the last meeting, but normally what we say is, okay guys, go away and create a PowerPoint on, give me something, Jody, the War of,
colonization.
On colonization. And the kids will go away, they'll create their PowerPoint, they'll come back and they'll say, boom, here's my PowerPoint. But now what we've got to go away and say is, go away and create a presentation, notice I didn't say PowerPoint, on colonization, because you're going to come back with a PowerPoint. You're going to come back with a Prezi. You're going to come back with a slide sorter from Google Apps. I mean, it's a whole bunch of different stuff out there to accomplish the same goal using the technology, but we call it, I was about to say we call it device neutral assignments. So now we can't require them to have Microsoft Word. We can't require them to do PowerPoint. It's what is your tool, and they know that, by the way. They know their tools well enough to know what it is they can do that assignment in. So we call it device neutral assignments, which makes us kind of rethink the way we put it out there for them. The value of technology. With technology, and we've noticed it when we did the pilot, I mean, we're able to kind of get more to real world tasks. I mean, you'll see that, you know, using technology, I can actually look at all the digits of pi as far as has been investigated so far, okay? But I'm not going to sit there and ask that child to write that down, you know? So we can kind of get a little bit further than maybe my textbook or my calculator will take me. We were talking in the high school meeting, Miss Williams, the high school teacher, she said one of the challenges actually Miss Lockhart, the geometry teacher, she said one of the challenges she has with trying to teach the students three-dimensional shapes is they can't really flip it and, you know, turn it, but she can do that, you know, if she shows that on her smartboard. She can do that with a child that has an iPad. So it kind of gets us a little bit closer to real world tasks. I don't know if you noticed, but kids seem to take just a pride in what they deliver if they created it, you know, using some form of technology. Now that's not to say that they don't if they do it with paper and pencil, but sometimes it just seems like there's a greater pride there. We're going to get into, and this is where I really want to leave us today, we're going to talk about how we can take this technology and what tools are out there based on learning style, based on instructional strategy. By the way, I hate to leave, even though this is a technology meeting, I hate to put paper in your hands, but sometimes I feel like if we have the paper, we can refer to it. I will give you the links for it as well. But there's some really good information out there specifically designed for tools to address learning style. So I wanted to make sure we leave that point today. I like this last bullet here because don't think just because they have a device that they're not thinking. I put up that first video when he said devices are getting smarter and we're getting dumber. Don't think that the kids are not going to be able to think, because there's still ways for them to be pushed to critical thinking with using their devices. You guys are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. Have you seen the revised taxonomy here where it actually gets into, so we started with knowledge, but now it's remembering. Have you seen this side of it? It's really interesting. Look at what's changing here. And I'm thinking as a result of technology, look at what's going on here. Comprehension to understanding, analysis, that the bottom part looks vaguely similar, but I'm looking at the top part here. That was really interesting. It made me go a step further. Do you remember the pyramid? Let me go a step further here. There, back. Do you remember the pyramid? Come on, go back. There we go. Do you remember the pyramid that talks about our cognitive levels? With creating, evaluating, analyzing. Look what's in this pyramid now. Remembering. Several apps that help these kids remember. These kids love YouTube. They've got their own YouTube channels, by the way. I've seen some of them, okay? Some of them are good, some of them are like, why? But I'll tell you a secret. There are a couple of kids down in high school. They have these YouTube channels, and what they do is they, when they buy a product, I don't know, it could be a hat, could be shoes, whatever. They get on YouTube and they talk about this product they bought. So, no, seriously, companies latch onto that stuff because they get like all these followers, and then they start sending them things saying, okay, you've got 50,000 followers looking at you advertise your shoes. Here's a pair of shoes. Talk about them. Hey, that's interesting. Okay, now we look at that and we say, that's so silly. No, that's an entrepreneur in the works. Okay, so so it's a different mindset, don't you think? It's a whole way of thinking of things very differently. Applying in preschool tech training the other day, we talked about Voki. Voki is a way to build like an avatar, and we had Voki avatars. We built Voki avatars in it's elementary training. And the next day, Mr. Tucker came to my classroom and he said, Miss Fairley, I went down the elementary hall and their smart boards were talking to the children. So they built an avatar of themselves. The kids came in the morning, freaked them out because they looked at the board and the avatar was sitting there saying, good morning, kids, come in, hang your backpack, put your, and they were like, and the kids were like amazed. And Miss Dorsey told me, she said, the avatar said, I forget the child's name, let's say Dylan, come to the board. And the kid just looked, and it was like, Miss Dorsey says, she said, come to the board. He was like, kind of scared. It was really crazy. So the elementary kids were loving the avatar, so that was actually kind of cool. All right, and then Google. Guys, this is evaluating, but I hesitate with this Google being here because I want to make sure that we know that we've got to get to that non-Googleable question, okay? Because kids Google everything. They do. And if you ask them, when was the War of 1812? Google. Because they don't even think 1812. Google, okay? So if you ask them a simple fill in the blank, Google, okay? And just know, if you put that, if they have that technology in their hand, you ask them a simple question, they're gonna give you the answer. So now, ask them a Jody Hornsby question. Will you evaluate and explain how the impact of the colonization, no, can't Google that, okay? So now, it's having them still think at that critical thinking level. Yeah, they can use their resources, that's what they're there for, but they can't Google that, okay? That's where we gotta go, okay?
They have to think.
They do have to think. Even with the tool, we've still gotta make sure that they're thinking. All right, so here's what I wanna do. Web 2, I don't know if you've ever heard of Web 2.0 tools. These are where we start to get into it doesn't matter what device they have, okay? Web 2.0 tools are those tools out there. How many of you remember it used to be where if I had a tool that you wanted, or you had a tool that she wanted, I would give you my disk, and then you load it, and then you pass it over to her, and then and everybody loads it on their machine, and boom, we all got this really incredible tool. Well, with Web 2.0, you don't need a disk. Basically, you don't really even have to download or anything. They're just there, okay? And whether I have an iPad or whether he has a laptop or an Android, it doesn't matter the device. So when the devices start coming in January and we don't know who has what, we're gonna fall back on Web 2.0 tools, okay? Here's what Web 2.0 tools, and by the way, I put this website in here because I don't want you to think that I know everything. I got a lot of my resources from right here, okay? This is a wiki that Carol Ann Tomlinson, there's a whole bunch of her information out here. What she thinks about differentiated instruction with technology, and I'm gonna give you a lot of this in paper as well. I want us to look down, let's see. There is, I'm going to the bottom of this file here, there is a wonderful handout I'm gonna give you, and Clayton, give you the one that says 100, this one. All right, there's a sheet that's coming at you. It's called 100 Helpful Web Tools for Every Kind of Learner, okay? 100. Well, that'll keep us busy for a little while. One thing I like about this is it says every kind of learner. Look at how it's divided.
Thank you.
Okay, it's divided into, wow, I got my visual learners here. Look at all the tools underneath. And guys, these are Web 2.0 tools, so regardless of what type of device you bring in or I bring in, we all use them. So now I'm getting some knowledge in how to appeal to my visual learners. Turn it over. I'm getting some knowledge into how to appeal to my kinesthetic learners. What can I use to teach them that? I'm going to go ahead and bring up this page. All right, so I'm looking at what you're looking at now. So let's see. I've got visual learners, and I want to do mind mapping. Mind mapping is like flow charting on speed. Do you remember flow charting where you had to do the box and go over? Mind mapping is like, okay, here I have a concept. Let's think of everything off that concept. I actually got a mind map coming up in a second. So keep going down that page. So now, charting and diagramming, draw anywhere, graph biz, project draw. These are tools I can use to accomplish that task, and the tools are underneath by learning style. Auditory learners, podcast, that's Miss Stanley. Man, she's the podcast queen, okay? Because her students are looking at her podcast and they're learning their lessons and coming in the next day reviewing it, okay? Great idea for auditory learners. All right, keep going down here. I want to find, there it is, my kinesthetic learners. Note-taking tools. Now, we don't want note-taking to be the only thing they do, but obviously this is a cool way for them to take notes. Bookmarking. Guys, there's tons of stuff here. We're not going to go over all 100 of them. But what I want you to do is take that with you, because now in your class, come January, when you're thinking, I want to be able to do some sort of charting or a graphic organizer design of some choice. Let me see what's in this Web 2.0 list that I can use, and it doesn't matter which tool they bring it up on. Okay? And by the way, I'm going to hit my visual learners when I do this. Maybe I can put some sound into it. Let's see, what can I put in there like a podcast? Because now I'm going to draw in my auditory learners. So we're going to make sure we're hitting them all, but what a great way to do it with Web 2.0 tools, and it doesn't matter who has what. Okay? And by the way, again, this website is called Tools for Success. Tools for Success Notes, and it's a wiki. And again, there's tons of stuff out there. Okay? All right, let me go back a little. There, okay? All right, this is a mind map. I don't know, have you ever seen a mind map before? The one thing that a mind map does is it takes like a central concept, and the kids, if this were, let's say, a classroom activity, the kids would actually come up with things that are relevant to that central concept, okay? So as I'm talking to you about Web 2.0 tools, that's my central concept, okay? So let's look what happens. Blogging, if I want to do that with a Web 2.0 tool, okay, if I want to do that with a Web 2.0 tool, notice what happens here. Underneath, if I can touch the plus sign, yeah. Underneath, these are several tools that I can use with blogging. WordPress is an excellent one. Blogger is an excellent free one. Okay, so if you want the kids doing journaling, anybody do journaling in their class? If you want them journaling, use a Web 2.0 tool for blogging. Presentation, we were just talking about this a second ago. Let me just click on that one. So now I've got these kids doing a presentation on colonization. Somebody's going to do it in Google Presentation. Somebody's going to do it in Prezi, Slide Rocket. I mean, these are several presentation tools that it doesn't matter what device they use it for. Okay? Let's see, what's another one down here that screams at you? Utilities. Utilities we all need. All right. Dropbox. Anybody use Dropbox? We've had a conversation about Dropbox several times. Dropbox, Google Drive, Google Drive, SkyDrive, yeah. Let's see, going down. Polls and surveys. Guys, the smart response units that we have, excellent. If you want to use something on their device, get that plus sign there. Yeah, if you want to use something on their device, Socrative, it's free, but that's also a poll. Poll Anywhere, we've used that before in one of our training classes. Google Form. By the way, Google Docs, amazing set of tools, does everything you want like from a Microsoft product, okay? Google Docs is amazing. So guys, these are just a few, but all of these are Web 2.0 tools, device neutral, doesn't matter. Okay, I kind of like that. All right, let's keep going. All right, you have the 100 sheets. Now, look at this next one. Okay, good, let me check it. Look at this next one, this one, okay? Clayton's giving you an instructional strategy sheet now. So now we're still talking about technology and the integration of technology. We've talked about it from a learning style standpoint. Let's talk about it from an instructional strategy standpoint now. And I'll wait till you get those out. There's a little cheat sheet at the top. We'll look at that first. Okay. All right, look at the very top. The key there, the tool is listed on the left. There's a short description about it. Free means free, but free plus means free for a little while and later they charge you. But let's look at what the initials mean. SD is a tool that you would use for identifying similarities or differences. So if they were writing a compare contrast paper or something from an English class, this would be an excellent tool for that. CL is cooperative learning tools. S&T is summarizing and note-taking. Then there's reinforcement, providing recognition, homework and practice. You'll see all the initials at the top. So they go across that top box. So those are instructional strategies. Underneath that, notice all the tools that can go along with that instructional strategy. So now I've got two things in my arsenal here. I know what type of learner I want to appeal to, and I know what type of instructional strategy I want to use to teach that particular concept. What can I use when that device comes in on January 1st? Oh, look at this, Ustream, Skype, iGoogle, NetVibes, lots of stuff out there, guys, okay? So what I don't want to, yeah, there's tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff, okay? So it's kind of like with these two together, man, we're dangerous come January 1st. We are super dangerous. Okay, don't mess with us. Okay, it's like, don't mess with us. Well, that's the thing. Don't try to like do it all. I mean, let's pick a tool. I'm going to start with a tool that helps me with online collaborative work. You know, so yeah, it's awesome. Granted, the kids will know half these tools before you get to them. You know, and that's okay. But we'll have a thing to reference them as well. But this, I thought this was an excellent resource. Again, the website we were on a second ago, Tools for Success, I believe this actually came off there too. This was a great website. That was a goal of mine. I'm like Paul, we have learned to, hey, you see a resource that's applicable, recycle, okay? Recycle. All right, let's wind down here. Anyway, there's some other, and most of these are actually mentioned on the two sheets that you've gotten, some other technologies to differentiate those three areas of content, process, and product. Again, and I keep harping here because Chris Mason and I have had a conversation about the whole Google apps. Google apps are like out, and they're free, okay? They're free from a school standpoint, and all the apps, you know, like the word processing document, the presentation, all that stuff is out there free, but it has to be licensed on a school-wide basis. So Chris Mason and I are in conversation about that, how we can kind of get that out and ready from a school standpoint. So stand by for that. That would be cool. So I'm going to wind this down. Look at this. This is Noon's 4-tier model for technological proficiency for teachers. And let's just be honest with ourselves. 3 levels here, okay? Here's that pre-literate, not yet using technology for personal instruction purposes. You know, maybe they're just traditional media materials, you know, here's your worksheet, things like that. Here's that technocrat. They're experimenting, they're getting a little bit bold here, but I'm just not really sure of how dependable and useful this stuff is, you know. Maybe I'll do a demonstration station in the computer lab one day. I can let them use a laptop or something like that. That's about as far as I'm going to go. Then you have that techno-traditionally. I'm using technology proficiently to accomplish traditional, that's the key, classroom tasks. So I do my lesson plans in Word. That's cool. Okay, I have my electronic grade book. I'm sending an email. Okay. But then this person is that techno-constructivist. That's where we're headed, guys. Really, that's where we're headed.
I think
anyway.
there's something in between the last two.
Between the you want to call that person?
That is a big jump.
Let's call that person the tech construct something like, we'll make up a name for that. But this is that person who's using technology to just really change that approach to teaching. This is where we want to head to, especially after January. We want to really start to transform what we're doing in the classroom. And you know, give them projects that are online. Take them for virtual field trips. Do you know how many websites there are out there for virtual field trips? In our math club, we do these virtual webcasts. Oh, they're awesome. We're gonna have so much fun. And digital portfolios, there's a tool on your sheet called Live Binders, where, you know, no longer do my kids have to bring this in. Okay, this is not their portfolio anymore. You know, it's Live Binders. Their stuff is actually online. So, and then we get to the point where we're communicating with other classrooms. Wouldn't it be nice to talk to an Algebra 1 classroom that's, you know, in Chicago? What are you guys doing today? You know, they're right here on our board talking to us. Oh, cool. Okay. So anyway, and we'll close out here, but I mean, just, you know, we're going to be honest with ourselves and where we are and where we want to go. But I think as long as we're making sure that we keep learning as the central focus and start to really, you know, bite off a little bit at a time, we'll get there. Okay? All right, let's stop there.